ridiculous quote that I've heard in any article, much less just the articles about the Cuban embassy attack. The source would not need to be seen from a satellite. It wouldn't have to be a humongous contraption, because these people using directed energy weapon systems, they have these platforms, and then they can, put the signal, the electromagnetic signal, or directed energy through cell phone towers, so you wouldn't even see where it was coming from. It would be a small platform that they could use. I'm not sure how big or small the platforms they use are, but I mean, if it's coming from a cell phone tower or it's coming, from a ground weapon next door, these things, wouldn't be seen from a satellite. That's totally ridiculous. Finally, only 2 of the 3 of the alleged victims had hearing problems, according to the U.S. information provided, whereas any kind of sonic attack would cause them in everyone, Villar said, and that is completely false. The United States has not formally accused Cuba of carrying out the attacks, but Trump's comments further damage relations between the old Cold War foes, which had rapidly deteriorated since he took office. Canada has said several Canadians had reported similar symptoms to the U.S. diplomats, but it has not taken any action against Cuba, and has said Cuba had been very cooperative with the investigation. There is an anti-Cuban mafia in Miami, and we are victims of their dirty work that involves certain people very close to the governing circles of the United States, Ramirez said. Anti-Castro Cuban Americans, such as the Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, have guided Trump's policy on Cuba, including a partial rollback of the historic detente forged by Trump's Democratic predecessor, Barack Obama. Washington insists its drawdown at its embassy was motivated by concern for the health of its diplomats. The safety and well-being of American citizens is our top priority, said Nwart. Investigators said U.S. actions did not add up with their accusations. More than 200 friends and relatives of diplomats based in Havana had asked for visas to visit them between February and July, despite the alleged attacks. The fact that the information the United States provided was late was a major obstacle to resolving the mystery, said the investigators, who declined to comment on the state of cooperation with Canada. So far, Washington had only officially reported 14 cases of alleged attacks to Cuba, compared with the 24 it had announced to the media, they said. Now it's 24. It will be impossible to resolve this investigation without more cooperation, Ramirez said. So let's go to another article here. I want y'all to listen to this, because this audible sound is very much like the sound that you can't hear, the tinnitus-like sound that targeted individuals hear, either from a direct hit of electromagnetic frequency to the audio cortex, or actually this ELF, or extremely low frequency sound, or extremely high frequency sound directed towards the ears of the target. And the target individual can hear it because it bypasses the first part of the hearing to the second part of the ear, so only the target individual can hear it, or it's actually heard in the head. If the electromagnetic frequency is being induced to the audio cortex of the target. So listen to this. This is what it sounds like audibly, and I've experienced it a lot, and it sounds quite like this. Very similar, very similar. Not exactly, doesn't sound exactly like that, but it's that ringing sound, just so annoying, and then you also get a feeling of pressure in your head while that's going on. So I'm going to start reading this article. This is from, let's see where this article is from. This is from The Independent. It is the 14th of October 2017. U.S. releases recording of sonic weapon attack used against diplomats in Cuba. At least 22 people, now 24, have been hurt by the mysterious high-pitched sound. A recording that reveals the sound of a sonic weapon said to have been used against U.S. Embassy staff in Cuba has been released. The high-pitched frequencies are believed to have injured at least 22 diplomatic staff who suffered problems with hearing, cognitive function, vision, balance, and sleep. The allegations have caused relations between the two countries to deteriorate significantly, just over a year after former President Barack Obama made a historic trip to the Caribbean island. Earlier this month, 15 Cuban diplomats were expelled from the communist government's embassy in Washington, D.C. Trump says America has rejected the Cuban people's oppressors. Let's watch this.
A special sympathy has grown between this land of the free and the beautiful people of that island so close to our shores and so deeply woven into the history of our region. America has rejected the Cuban people's oppressors. They are rejected. Officially today, they are rejected.
Okay. So let's go down. Any sound played at normal levels is not thought to be harmful to humans, but the affected staff said they heard it played at high levels through what device is unknown. The recordings from Havana have been sent for analysis to the U.S. Navy, which has advanced capabilities for analyzing acoustic signals, and to the intelligence services, the Associated Press reports. A closer examination of one recording revealed it was not just a single sound. Roughly 20 or more different frequencies or pitches are embedded in it, according to reports. And this is probably right on point, because it's a lot of different electromagnetic frequencies, sound frequencies, non-ionized microwave radiation, which is just, it's basically those things are just going up and down the electromagnetic frequency scale. So you have radio frequency on the electromagnetic frequency sound scale, you have non-ionizing microwave radiation on the electromagnetic frequency sound, you have extremely high frequency, extremely low frequency sound. All these things are included on the electromagnetic spectrum. So that's probably right on that within the attacks, whatever was being aimed at the heads or the bodies of these the State Department workers probably contained many frequencies. To the ear, the multiple frequencies can sound a bit like dissonant keys on a piano being struck all at once. Plotted on a graph, the Havana sound forms a series of peaks that jump up from a bass line, like spikes or fingers on a hand. There are about 20 peaks, and they seem to be equally spaced. All these peaks correspond to a different frequency, said Kaushik Sarkar, an acoustics expert and engineering professor at the George Washington University, who reviewed the recording with the AP. But the recordings have not significantly advanced U.S. knowledge about what is harming diplomats in Cuba, and the U.S. government has not officially blamed anyone. The island's government, led by Raul Castro, has denied involvement or knowledge of the attacks. But U.S. officials believe more could be done to prevent them. We believe that the Cuban government could stop the attacks on our diplomats, said John Kelly, White House Chief of Staff. On the street in Havana, the reaction among locals was markedly different, with many people mocking the allegations, citing the tense relations between the U.S. and Cuba. It isn't the first or the last excuse that they invent to discredit Cuba and its leaders, said lawyer Alexander Tamame, 36. I don't think anything really happened. Okay, so I just wanted to show those two articles and keep the Cuban embassy attack story kind of in the loop of news, at least on my YouTube channel and among target individuals. We just need to stick with it. Marco Rubio has contacted John Hall about some of the claims of American target individuals, and also John Cornyn, senator from Texas, and Tom Cotton, senator from Arkansas, are looking into these attacks and also the connection of these attacks to the effects that American target individuals are saying that they are experiencing, and also, well, I mean, people around the world are experiencing these things and testifying to them, giving testimonies about them. So this is basically just some more kind of hardcore news about the Cuban embassy attack investigation. Also, someone who put all the press releases from the United States about the Cuban embassy attack. Check out his YouTube page. It's Cacti Juice. So it's CACTI and then space Juice, JUICE. So Cacti Juice is his YouTube handle, and he's put up all the press meetings with the United States, and some other really interesting videos. So check his YouTube video out. I just, as a target individual and the things I've experienced, I know that these attacks in Cuba, I don't know who did them. I don't know who perpetrated them, but there's also articles, and I'll go back to some of them because I've already gone through some of them, where the State Department workers did experience gang stalking too. They experienced break-ins to their homes, people harassing them and things like that before the actual attacks by electronic weapons, by sonic attacks, sonic weapons. But as a target individual, I look at this, and from what I've experienced and heard from other target individuals, this sounds exactly like what we're experiencing, and this is directed energy weapon systems. So it's basically platforms that are integrated with certain things and use a lot of different frequencies from the electromagnetic spectrum. So they use radio frequency, they use microwaves, they use extremely low frequency sounds, extremely high frequency sounds. X-ray is also part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So these are directed energy weapon systems, are platforms that use everything down the electromagnetic spectrum, and that can be presented in like a sonic, like a high pitched sound. It can be represented in actual heat, like microwave. It can a lot frequencies can do a lot more than the common layperson thinks. So we've really got to expand our knowledge, and then this technology isn't science fiction. And it's not science fiction because I'm experiencing it. I talk to target individuals every day who are experiencing it. My family believes me because of what happened in Cuba. And I've been tortured by this stuff, by directed energy weapon systems for, a long time, longer than I even probably know. I know that I knew I was being attacked about 8 years ago. But then I look back, and I think 10 years before that, they had started doing stuff. Now, about 8 years ago, that's when I started hearing the high-pitched sound in my ears, in my head, and it made my head feel like it was going to explode, getting the headaches, getting the directed energy weapon hits to my body. And then about a year later, voice to skull started, and that was after the initial attacks. With these frequencies, with shooting these frequencies at people's heads, they can shoot all kinds of noises, all kinds of sounds, voices, by the microwave hearing effect. So I just wanted to kind of put these two articles in. I'm going to just look up as many articles on the Cuban embassy attack as I can and get them out to y'all, just to kind of keep us all in the loop about what's going on with the investigation. I feel like all the people around the world who are getting these effects from external sources deserve an investigation, just like these State Department workers, and I don't see why that's not happening. But all right, guys. So I just wanted to show that, kind of just keep building that foundation, keep building that case, which I think is already done. I think people should already know that this stuff is going on. But just keep on putting the info out there, and I think this year is going to be a good one for people's eyes to open, for changes to be made, because people are being tortured for years and years and years and decades in a lot of cases, experimented on just to see what these weapons can do and their interactions with the brain and the nervous system. Alright guys, I'll make another video soon. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.